Hi, my name is Amalin Sofia, Binti Zahran, and my ID is 012024091858, and I am a BCM student. I will narrate as a pixelated cat at the bottom left corner, which I will guide you on an interactive infographics titled Mac vs Windows. The comparison in multimedia capabilities. Let's jump right into it. This is the main page of the interactive infographic. I will guide you where you should know first. Before we dive into the comparison between Mac and Windows, we need to know what is Mac and what is Windows. First, let's click what is Mac. Mac or Macintosh or Mac OS is a group of operating systems created by Apple. It was previously called Mac OS X and later OS X. It is especially made for Apple Mac computers and is based on the Unix operating system. It was developed using C, C++, Objective-C, assembly language, and Swift. Mac OS is the second most popular operating system for personal computers after Windows. Apple released the first version in 2001 and the latest stable version in version 15. Mac OS Suraya announced on June 10, 2024. Let's go back to the home page and look up what is Windows. Windows is a product line of proprietary graphical operating system developed and marketed by Microsoft. It is also called Microsoft Windows. These days, the Windows family includes Windows NT and Windows LOT. In the past, they had Windows NX, Windows Mobile, and Windows Phone. But these are no longer used. Windows is the most popular operating system for personal computers. Microsoft released the first version of Windows in 1995, and the latest version for personal computer is Windows 11. Okay, go back to the home screen. First, we need to compare their built-in tools in terms of multimedia capabilities. So let's click here. This is the built-in tool for Mac and Windows. Starting from Mac, it has Keynote, a multimedia presentation, an iMovie, a video editor, photos, which an app to store photos and videos, an audio MIDI and GarageBand, it's to manipulate audio and make music or sound effect, and a digital color meter, a tool that helps show value of color on screen. Compared to Windows, Windows have sniping tools which is used for screenshot. Windows have media player to play MP3 and MP4, and a voice recorder to record voice, a paint and paint 3D to sketch and manipulate basic 3D object, and lastly a clip champ which is recently added as a built-in tools in Windows 11. It is a video editing software. To conclude, Mac suits best for multimedia creators as a primary operating system, but Windows is good for a beginner or secondary use for multimedia designer. Let's go back to the home page. Next, we compare the performance between Mac and Windows. Click. Before we delve into Mac vs Windows performance comparison, first we need to know what is CPU and GPU. So CPU is control processing unit, while GPU is graphic processing unit. CPU handle general tasks while GPU handle rendering software like Blender, Adobe Photoshop, Adobe Premiere Pro, and so on. The processor type of CPU are Apple Silicon, Intel, and AMD. GPU is built in or integrated in Apple GPU or integrated in Windows Intel AMD or optional dedicated GPU like NVIDIA or AMD. Both CPU and GPU, some are soldered in the motherboard and some are upgradable. To compare the performance between Mac and Windows, we compare their CPU, GPU, upgradability of CPU and GPU, heat and fan noise, the best features, gaming capabilities, and the price and performance. So Mac have Apple Silicon, Apple M1, M2, M3 chip, while Windows have Intel or AMD like Intel Core 1315179 or AMD Ryzen. The GPU of Macintosh is integrated Apple GPU, it's built in, while Windows is integrated Intel or AMD or optional dedicated GPU, NVIDIA AMD. The CPU and GPU in Mac is not upgradable. However, in Windows, CPU is not upgradable, but GPU, yes, upgradable. The heat and fan noise in Macintosh runs cool and quiet, often fanless, while Windows, it can get hot and noisy under heavy load. Mac is best for creative tasks like video editing, photo, music, long battery life, while Windows is good for gaming, 3D rendering, multitasking, more flexible setups with higher specs. With gaming, Macintosh is limited because Macs are not for gaming, while Windows is excellent with dedicated GPU like RTX 3060 or 4070. The price and the performance of Macs is expensive, powerful and long-lasting, while Windows are more variety from budget to business. Phew, that's a lot of things, right? Let's go back to the homepage. Next, we will talk about the difference in memory between Mac and Windows. Before we compare Mac vs Windows, we need to know what are RAM and ROM. So RAM is random access memory and ROM is random only memory. RAM holds data from programs you are actively using. For example, when using Adobe Premiere Pro or DaVinci Resolve, your RAM holds all the footage, effects, and tools you are actively working with. If you don't have enough RAM, your computer will slow down or crash. The recommendation for RAM for editing is 8GB, which for basic editing or like gaming, 16GB, good for multimedia editing like 4K video editing and moderate multitasking, and the biggest one is 32GB RAM, which is ideal for heavy video editing, 3D rendering, and multitasking with large files. While ROM, the role of the ROM is storing system file and holds system level instructions, for example BIOS and firmware. It's important for booting up the computers but not directly related to multimedia tasks. ROM memory is very small, it's in between 4MB to 256MB. Let's moving on to the comparison of Mac and Windows. So to compare Mac and Windows, let's compare the RAM memory, RAM and ROM upgrade, the performance on multimedia, and what they are best for. So RAM memory of Mac is in between 8GB to 16GB in base models, while Windows are in between 4GB to 64GB plus, depending on the model and budgets. The RAM upgrade in Macintosh is not upgradable, but it is upgradable in Windows. The ROM upgrade in Macintosh is not upgradable for modern Macs, but commonly upgradable on desktop and pro laptops. The performance for multimedia in Macintosh is excellent with Final Cut Pro, GarageBand, and which optimized for Mac hardware. For Windows, it is excellent with Adobe Suite, DaVinci Resolve, FL Studios, and more. Depends on RAM and GPU specs. The Macintosh is best for creators that use Apple's ecosystems and apps like iMovie, Final Cut Pro, Logic Pro, while Windows is best for creators needing custom builds, Windows-only software, or budget-friendly upgrades. Let's go back to the homepage. The last comparison is the comparison on storage device between Mac and Windows. To compare Mac and Windows storage device, as usual, you need to know what is HDD and SSD. HDD is a hard drive disk, while SSD is a solid state drive. HDD is a type of storage device used in computers to store data like your files, operating system, applications, and games. HDD is a digital filing cabinet with moving parts, spinning disks, that store and read information. Commonly have a slower speed due to spinning disks, less durable because of the moving parts, has a bigger storage more than 1 TB, noisy, cheaper, and good for budget laptops, desktop and standard drives, older systems. While SSD is a faster modern type of storage used in laptops and computers. Unlike HDDs, SSDs have no moving parts, which makes them quieter, quicker, and more durable. SSD is a super fast digital memory stick that loads your files and programs in seconds. It is very fast, more durable, silent, more expensive per gigabyte, small storage size which less than 1 TB, and it's good for new laptops, gaming PCs, professional editing machines. Additional information, SSD have two types of speeds, SATA SSDs and NVMe SSDs. SATA SSDs is approximately 500 MB per second, while NVMe SSDs is in between 3000 to 7000 MB per second. Wow, that's a lot of information, right? Let's take a time and move on to the last slide ever. The comparison between Mac and Windows storage device. As you can see on the screen is tabulated comparison, so I try my best to explain from the tables. The system include a latest Mac SSD, an all Mac with HD or Fusion drives, a Windows with HD only, a Windows with SATA SD only, a Windows with NVMe SSD only, and Windows SD plus HD drives. So that's the system. So the speed for the editing in the new Mac with SSD is very fast and have a limited size storage capacity and best for pros, but it's expensive. Next, the Mac with HD or Fusion drives. It has slow speed for editing, larger storage capacity, and okay for like tasks, but not for 4K resolution. Next, Windows with HDD only. The speed is slow but have large and cheap storage capacity and is only good for storage. Next, Windows with SATA SSDs. Its speed is medium and storage capacity is 500 GB to 1 TB. It is good for editing videos and photos. Next, Windows with NVMe SSDs. It is ultra fast and have storage capacity of 1 TB plus, and it is best value for speed and capacity. Lastly, Windows with SSD and HDD. It has balanced speed for editing and has large storage capacity. As such, SSD for speed and HDD for bigger files. It great on creators on budget. So that's the end of Mac and Windows comparison. Let's go to the main page. and click Exit button on the top right corner. Thanks for watching my interactive infographic. I hope you do enjoy it, and until next time, bye bye.
The end.